What's up? It's your boy Kevin to turn on this motherfucking YouTube shit. Wow, what the fuck?
What's up? It's your boy. Can't tell you shit. Hey man, say man, we are literally man, turn. Motherfucking day. To hear us a big crip in the gang shit. I said to man, free Palestine, free Congo, Russia do your thing, and take stand the fuck up. Anything is ready to be a better version of yourself. Never let somebody bring you down, I'll stand back. Never let somebody tell you are, but also don't put yourself in a position to belong. Always keep your way first. Come to the Black Hebrew Israelite. As a real Jew, we will continue to turn up. We will keep on doing our thing, man. Alright, let's get into it. Boom. Say, motherfucking day. So here that's a big crib and a gang shit, man. Alright, gang. Nigga, we out here, nigga. Alright? Fuck they talking about. Yeah, big crib out here. But they talking about. Out here, nigga. Yeah. Hey. What they talking about? Hey, so yeah, man. Drake versus Kendrick, man. But that shit been going crazy. You know what I'm saying? A lot of shit talking, a lot of sneak dissing, a lot of, you know what I'm saying, behind the scenes, whoop the whoops, you know what I'm saying? Crip, this shit be like on a level where, you know what I'm saying, it gets there. You know what I'm saying? When people be like, damn, we got this shit, man, and it kind of came at a time where shit was crazy. I'm like, damn, these fights are just gonna be crazy. This shit turned to a crazy ass shit, nigga. You know what I'm saying? And it could have got crazier. You know what I'm saying? It got crazy. It could have gone crazy. You know what I'm saying? Because we got a lot of people there. A lot of people can't let shit go. You know what I'm saying? I'm just being honest. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people just do some goofball ass shit for some reason. You can't let shit go, man. You know what I'm saying? But hey, it was a good ass battle, man. You know what I'm saying? Super Bowl, that shit was crazy. You know what I'm saying? All that shit how it went down was crazy though. You know what I'm saying? They did that collab with Party, all that shit, man. That shit was wild. You feel me? It came out the little baby shit coming up. Hey, you just gotta know that, people want to continue to get better, but they can't skip back to back though. Kendrick Lamar shit going Grammy 5 times, like that shit crazy. You know what I'm saying? I also just, you know how it goes, man. You know what I'm saying? I feel like, man, I put my work into, you know what I'm saying? We all gotta understand that, I feel like they did their thing, you know what I'm saying? And they continue to do their work, you know what I'm saying? I feel like, man, Kendrick Lamar and Drake, they had a real, I feel like it's a tough battle because, hey, they felt that pain knowing each other. You feel me? Because I guess cause they always knew each other coming up. You feel me? Hey man, shout out to Rapaholics, man. You know what I'm saying? Been watching one of his videos, gang. It's a Drake and the you know what I'm saying, the Party. They did a little album. And Kendrick, you know what I'm saying, the Super Bowl performance type shit. You know what I'm saying? We just seeing what the fuck going on a little bit. We been watching it and shit, just chill, you know what I'm saying? Hey, we finna see what the fuck going on.
Alright, Lobbies and Gentlegrams, in today's episode of Lobby in Gentleland, Sandra's sensitive slumber song-singing son, the stunt double of Sexy Red, is slanging steak slogans, going after gambling addicts, and gaveling grand juries, justifying his lawsuits for the loss to the lyrically lethal Little Los Angeles bell-bottom bone crusher, the cutthroat Compton kung fu killer, crushed the Canadian defamation drizzler, driving him to duke it out in court, and as legal filings fill the future of the friendly fade, the sentiment is much different than it was during Taylor Made, but even though the Champagne Petition Padres casket has been laid, the bald and bearding belligerent BBL buffoon doesn't seem too afraid. He's ready for a round 2 of the rhyming raid. And drop a like and subscribe for the rhymes I made. Now, Lobbies and Gentlegrams, we got a lot to touch on in this video. We're going to be looking at the past, the present, and the future. There's a lot that we got to dissect here. Now, before we get into what has led up to round 2 and what we could expect in round 2, I think it's fair to give Lobby a little bit of advice for how to come prepared, alright? This is some advice from his fiercest competitor, the 4'5" feet whipping assassin Kung Fu Kenny. This is what he had to say after the backlash from his Control verse way back in 2013.
Kendrick, how you doing, dog? Hey, man. How you feeling about all the comebacks lately from your Control verse?
You gotta try hard.
All right, man. What do you think about that Meek Mills? Oh, kill him. How you feeling about that, man? You see that Jay-Z and P. Diddy post? What do you think about that Instagram post they did again?
That's the big homie.
What comment?
That's the big homie. Everybody else gotta try harder though.
We gotta try harder.
And I think this resonates even more today than it did back then. You know, as Kendrick said in TV Off, it's not enough. Drizzy ended round 1 off with possibly the most comical attempts at a diss record in history with the Heart Part 6. After surviving a brutalized beatdown so bad, he had to literally come on record and tell us that he's not Epstein, he's not a PDF. But yet, you still got guys like this defending the Heart Part 6. Let me rage bait you guys real quick with this video.
Yo, the way that Drake went at Kendrick Lamar on the Heart Part 6, he went in like a urologist and surgically dissected Kendrick Lamar's manhood. And every battle rapper knows this. That's why they don't ever want to talk about the Heart Part 6. And once, Rock Nation and UMG, they coordinated attacks. Once they sent their checks out, they just try to systematically bury the Heart Part 6. But man, what's so hard for Kendrick Lamar, this is why he will never be accepted as like the top MC, is because he had no rebuttal for that. And it's embarrassing that you, supposed to be hip-hop's top dog, West Coast savior, and you had no rebuttal for that, Heart Part 6. You dropped 2 trash songs and then a trash album. Now, I'm not going to lie, the album, it's alright, but after the Heart Part 6, I can never look at Kendrick Lamar the same. His manhood has been stripped from him. And the only way that he can
America's favorite hot honey meets America's original
address the Heart Part 6. Till then, I don't want to hear nothing about nothing coming from that Kendrick Lamar camp. Because Drake, a student of the game, knows, like, yo, you make some accusations, I gotta rebut that. So we're waiting, Kendrick Lamar. Do we gotta wait 2 years, another 5 years for you to address the Heart Part 6? Or are you just gonna let that slide? Because real hip-hop heads, inquiring minds, we would like to know.
I have no comment, alright? We want unbiased media here. We want both perspectives. This is the Aubrey's Angels perspective, alright? Now, Aubrey has been teasing round 2 or game 2 or gavel guzzling 2 ever since the Heart Part 6 dropped, and everyone in the world except for the guy in the video that I just showed you guys unanimously declared Kendrick victorious, and the Heart Part 6 being so bad it didn't even warrant a second response. You had him sharing posts like this on his Finsta page.
I'll put it in the front page, back page, middle of the page, wherever. Headliners, column 1 or 2, we will win game 2. We will win game 2.
Then you had Lawbreeze Big Mac munching, Burger King cobbling, grimace-shaped gram guzzling, Blazer, DJ Academics, emphasizing that game 2, Drake will certainly win.
But game 2, we will win.
Game 2 chat? We having game 2 chat?
Game 2, we will win. That's a fact. If you think Drake finna abandon and forsake all them fans, you gotta realize this for the fans right here. You think he gonna let some ass nigga have something over him, his legacy, and his fans? No.
You heard the Big Mac mascot. You really think Drake was gonna let Kendrick Lamar have something over him? Without putting up a fight, without putting up a round 2? Nah, you're following through. The narrative back then was Drake in 5.
This the new thing. Drake in 5. Remember, I told you that. What's understood don't need to be explained. Y'all gonna watch it. Y'all are watching it.
Now, mind you, this was way back in August, and quickly after all this round 2 tough talk, Kendrick announced that he'd be the Super Bowl halftime performer in 2025, and very shortly after that, the only talk about another round was Academic's round body shape, because all that tough talk about round 2 was quickly shut down when Kendrick said this.
You know, it's only one opportunity to win a championship. No round 2s. Let's get it.
Nah, after this, it was walkbacks and Big Macs. As Academic said, we got it all misconstrued. When Drake says he's gonna win round 2, he's not talking about no rap battle with Kendrick. He doesn't want that smoke anymore. Apparently, he's on to bigger and better things.
Maybe I've misled
And didn't he rap it over in
when Drake says round 2,
Australia or Japan
none of
or
that
some
has
shit?
to do with
I think it was Australia.
Oh, he wants to go again. That is not the thing. Now, I'm not here to expound not only my thoughts, but some of what I believe I know about this round 2 thing. Drake has no desire to be like, let's go bar for bar again. Let's go song for song. But round 2 got nothing to do with I'm trying to battle with Kendrick Lamar again.
And keep in mind, again, this was way back in August and September. The reason I bring this up is because Drake is still talking about round 2s in the next chapters, which we're going to touch on very shortly. But let's try to understand what round 2 really means, right? Because it's pretty obvious they're not going back and forth on diss tracks again. Drake is literally suing over a diss track. I don't think he has any jurisdiction to start throwing out diss tracks of his own at this point. But from the looks of what his mouthpiece Academics has been implying, and from what we've seen from both Drake and Kendrick Lamar, round 2 is really when the dust settles, you know, when the party dies, as Kendrick puts it. Where do these two who ruled at the top of hip-hop, where do they take it from here on out? Who becomes the voice of the culture? Who becomes the most commercially successful artist? What direction does hip-hop take overall? What moves do these two make to cement their legacies, not just in general, because they've already done that, but what statement do they make after the battle to show, you know, what I set out to accomplish by saying F Big 3 is just Big Me, or Drake saying, you know, I get more love in the city that you're from? Round 2 is showing and proving. Round 2 is showing that we can still reign as supreme, if not more supreme than we did prior to this beef. With Drake, it's him showing, you know, this battle left no chink in my armor. My fans still love me. I still got all my fans. And for Kendrick, it's, you know, I just took down what I perceive to be a poison within the culture. I have the crown now. I'm the one dictating where the culture goes from here on out. And we're going to break it down, but really, we have been witnessing round 2 ever since the Hard Part 6. We are living in the Kendrick era. And what I mean by that is, as we know, before this beef, Drake was the numbers guy. He was the king of streaming. The numbers were what dictated not only his success, but his legacy, his greatness. On First Person Shooter, when he's saying, you know, who the GOAT, it wasn't classic albums that could back that up. It wasn't cultural impact. It was his success on the charts. I mean, look at ever since 2015, 10 years ago, who has been the most streamed rapper of every single year.
That's the top 10 most streamed rappers each year of the last decade. 2024. I'm assuming Drake is on this list a lot. You might be correct. I'm 2024 is Kendrick Lamar. 2024 is not Kendrick. Is it Drake? It is Drake. Okay. 14 billion streams. Are you going to make a point right now and just all of these are Drake? 2023, Drake.
Drake, 17.6 billion streams. I caught you right now. I caught you in your boots. What about 2022? Is it Drake? Drake, 13.4 billion streams. What about 2021? Drake, 8.6 billion streams. Shocking. What about 2020? Is it Drake? Drake, 5.6 billion. 2019, Drake Bell. No, not Drake Bell. Drake, 6.4 billion streams. 2018, Drake, 8.2 billion streams. 2017, now what I feel like is a little different. Drake, 6 billion streams. 2016, Drake, 4.7 billion streams. 2015, Drake, no, but Drake, 1.8 billion streams. That comes to a total of 86.3 billion streams over the last 10 years. Drake has dominated cross platforms as a rapper. Yeah, so you're saying he is the GOAT of rap? I'm not saying that. You are saying. Let me ask you a question. Is Drake the most popular rapper of all time? I think he's definitely the most popular rapper, maybe musician, not musician. I think Michael Jackson's more popular. But Drake has more hits than Michael Jackson. Yeah. I didn't see Kendrick Lamar at all on this list.
I mean, in this whole streaming era, right, Drake has been the first rapper to sell, and the last rapper to sell, 1 million in the first week, 900K in the first week, 800K, 700K, 6, 5, and 400K in the first week. No other rapper has done that since Drake. So to take Drake out, you really got to take out the one thing that he holds closest to his legacy, which is the numbers. And in the battle, that's exactly what Kendrick did. There's a reason why Drake is suing over Not Like Us and not Meet the Grams, right? Even though Meet the Grams was a lot more scathing, Not Like Us was the hit. Not Like Us was the one that is the longest running song in the top 10 on Billboard of this entire decade. Not Like Us was the one that everyone was singing at the Super Bowl, at the Grammys, and that's Drake's kryptonite. If he's still the numbers guy, nothing else really matters to him. So for Kendrick to win this quote-unquote round 2, it's about dismantling that kryptonite, neutralizing those superpowers, as he puts it. Round 2 is the battle on the charts, the battle on public perception of, who's really running this thing right now. And it's been a close fight all throughout the entirety of 2025 so far. We're like almost a quarter into 2025, and if you take a look, this is the first year in over 10 years that Drake is not leading by a wide margin in terms of who is the most streamed rapper of the year. So far, even with an album out, he is the most streamed rapper of the year with 3.3 billion streams so far, but Kendrick is extremely close to him with 3.37 billion streams. The gap has never been closer, and Kendrick has the opportunity this year to take that crown of being the highest selling rapper of the year, dismantling Drake's 10-year run at the top. But obviously round 2 isn't just about the charts, right? It's about cultural impact. It's about the moves that each artist makes this year to cement themselves as the one who really controls the rest of the decade. So let's look at the moves that both rappers have made since the Hard Part 6. You had Drake delete all of his diss tracks off of Instagram, basically try to wipe the history of the beef completely off of his timeline. He gave us about 12 songs in 2024 off of his Instagram account, Plot Twist. None of them really left an impact on the charts or in the clubs, even though they were perfectly designed for the clubs. You had him make a short transition into becoming a streamer, a stake-sponsored streamer, pushing gambling addiction on the streaming community, linking up with streamers XQC and Aiden Ross on those streams, talking about rap being weird, and telling XQC to turn off his Fragile Ops music like The Weeknd or Steve Lacy. Then he did two moves that, in my opinion, were actually kind of smart. First of all, he took his maple syrup mob boss persona out of America as the entire world chanted, "Not like us," and he left the Canadian cold to go to the summer sunshine of Australia to embark on a small tour and remind himself that he still loved globally. He still got fans all across the world. It was at that show where he announced that he would be completing a solo album and having a one-on-one talk with his fan base in the near future. He also walked out on stage in a sweatshirt that had bullet holes in it with smoke coming out of it, symbolizing the fact that the entire industry tried to take him down, but he's still standing. I think the idea of going over to Australia while, the Super Bowl and the Grammys were happening wasn't a bad idea. Not only did it probably distract Drake himself from everything that was going on at those events, but it also optic-wise showed the world that, he could still perform in front of these massive crowds. They'll still chant his music. It's almost like he was living in a completely different universe in Australia where this beef never happened. Simultaneously, he took a break from rap to put the world to sleep with his Sexy Sleepy Lullaby Love Songs Party Next Door collaboration album. And while it didn't get the best reviews, think about it like this, right? If Drake put out a rap album and it was reviewed as poorly as that Party Next Door album was, it would look like he was washed. It would look like hip-hop was done with him, especially if it was a solo album and it sold as poorly as that album did. He has the excuse of saying, oh, this album was just for the ladies. It was an R&B album. It was a collaboration album with a smaller artist. Of course it wasn't going to sell as well. Of course this was only for a certain segment of my fan base. He really followed Kendrick's advice when Kendrick said, I like Drake with the melodies, I don't like him when he act tough. And I think that was the right move at the right time. Take your time with the solo album. Get as vulnerable as possible. Give us some of your best hip-hop music that we've ever gone from, but again, take the time to craft that. In the meantime, distract the public with a couple hits, with a couple slow jams. Shift the conversation from, did Kendrick destroy Drake at the Super Bowl to did Drake destroy his own career with this new R&B project? It was all a distraction, obviously, because he ended up canceling the rest of his Australian tour. Was it due to low ticket sales? Was it due to scheduling conflicts? We don't necessarily know, but that's where we're at with Drake for round 2 for the time being so far. We'll get back to Drake shortly, but we got to talk about how Kendrick Lamar has taken a disgustingly vile lead in this race for who's going to take first place of round 2. Now, this is more of a marathon than a race, right? Because it's not a rap battle. It's who in the long term is going to cement their legacy as the clear leader of this next generation. And Kendrick Lamar has been making his case, building that brick by brick incredibly over the last few months. So let's go through that. But first, Lawbreeze and Gentlegrams, I want to tell you guys about something that, unlike Drake, a bunch of you guys have been telling me you've been, Anita Max, winning some free cash from playing mobile games. So I want to put all you guys on something that almost seems too good to be true. All right, let me give you a little glimpse into my life. When I'm not making this content for you guys, I have a disgusting addiction to my phone. My daily screen time is higher than Drake on that album cover, higher than Snoop. for round 2. He announces the Super Bowl in September, simultaneously declaring the party dead. All the toxicity within the culture has been wiped out, with him, putting a chink in the armor of the artist who embodies all the toxic elements within hip-hop that Kendrick was discussing. Then he goes on to give us GNX, really giving a platform to a lot of lesser-known artists from his city on that project, bringing new faces into the culture. And we're going to talk about GNX shortly, because the success of that album alone relative to Drake's Sexy Sleepy Love Songs album is kind of showing you where we're headed. And of course, Drake and all the OV hoes are creating conspiracies about bots pushing the success of that project. But if you want to put things in perspective, Lefty Gunplay, who was featured on GNX, has been in the top 10 of the Billboard charts for more weeks in 2025 than Drake has. And that's all thanks to Kendrick. I'm forgetting some other moments, the Not Like Us music video, the pop out. Then of course he cements Not Like Us as being the most legendary diss track of all time, potentially winning 5 Grammy Awards, becoming the most awarded hip hop song of all time, even one of the most awarded songs in general of all time. 5 Grammy Awards just for that one song. And there's only a short list of artists who have won that many Grammy Awards in one night. You got like Michael Jackson, Lauryn Hill, Beyonce, and Kendrick Lamar did it all from one record, just to put it into perspective. Then of course you had the Super Bowl, which was like the final nail in the coffin. And on Drake's side, you had him pushing lawsuits in hopes of getting Not Like Us restricted from being performed on that Super Bowl stage. And it's not done yet, right? Round 2 is going to continue all throughout the summer, with Drake potentially dropping his new album, which we'll touch on shortly, with Kendrick embarking on his stadium tour with SZA. We're even getting a new Kendrick movie with the creators of South Park, Matt Stone and Trey Parker. On a side note, I might start an entire channel dedicated to analyzing different South Park episodes. Drop a comment if you guys keep up with South Park and if you would want that, and any other type of non-Drake and Kendrick related content you'd want to see on this channel. Obviously we cover an immense amount of Drake and Kendrick content. I have a ton of other projects coming for you guys that are completely unrelated to this beef, so drop a comment on what else you'd want to see on this channel. But yeah, let's get into the numbers for a little bit, right? Because we've been eating good, right? After the beef, both of them have dropped brand new albums to kind of set the stage on what path they're taking their individual careers in. We've touched on the sales and the chart positions for both these albums. GNX massively outsold Sexy Sleepy Love Songs, and even though that album is basically brand new, just a couple weeks old, records from GNX continue blocking Drake from hitting number 1 on every single chart. I mean, this is a look at the Apple Music chart. Keep in mind, Drake's album basically just came out, and you have Luther, a 3-month-old song, at number 1, blocking Drake's Nokia. You had 30 for 30 with Kendrick and SZA at number 3, Not Like Us at number 4, TV Off at number 5. You even got a Doechii song doing more numbers than a lot of the new Drake songs off this album. And that's just the Apple Music charts. Take a look at the Spotify charts, where last week, not one Drake song from this new album hit the top 5 of the most streamed songs by rappers. It was all Kendrick and SZA songs and one Weeknd song. And of course, this has Drake and his fans screaming and yelling, talking about this being some massive conspiracy from the higher-ups to tear Drake down, make his numbers look bad on purpose, prop Kendrick's numbers up on purpose, make it look like Kendrick is outselling him when he's really not. But again, numbers don't lie, man. We've proven on this channel before that Spotify removed all the botted streams of songs that had bots on them, and no Kendrick streams were affected, meaning that there was no bots on those songs. But Drake is still liking posts like this that imply there's conspiracies going on, where it says, "Still waiting." The more these labels play these new games, and honestly at this point are just begging for federal investigation into their petty payola games, it's going to get more and more exposed. There's going to be questions as to why, for the first time in history, multiple times in the same calendar year, there's been multiple coinky-dink delays on a system that's never really failed to have results early, but now have delays that go into the following week. The fact that Drake keeps up with no airplay lets you know a lot. And what they're referring to here is the delay that Billboard had in their numbers for last week of the highest selling albums, because some crazy things went down to show you just how close the battle on the charts is between Drake and Kendrick, even though, again, Kendrick released this album 3 months ago and Drake only released his album 3 weeks ago. For last week's charts, Kendrick was predicted to go number 1 with GNX, while Some Sexy Sleepy Songs was supposed to go number 2, but Kendrick was only supposed to sell about 1,000 copies more than Drake, meaning that the amount of sales that both of them got for that number 1 spot would be so extremely close. And this is so symbolic of like how the tides are turning and how close both of them are in terms of battling out who the biggest hip-hop artist is right now. And the post that Drake liked that was talking about, Billboard being corrupt and delaying their chart announcement was due to the fact that before the official numbers were reported and Kendrick went number 1 and Drake went number 2, there was a big delay in the charts. Usually they're announced on, I believe, Monday morning, and it took about a full day for them to actually report the numbers. It was only released on Tuesday. This made the Ovi hoes believe that, they were fudging the numbers, making sure that Kendrick got that number one spot, pulling out some fake bots at the last minute to make sure Drake didn't hit that number one spot, and that's why the charts were delayed. But in the end, Kendrick ended up beating him out by less than 500 copies. I don't think you guys realize how small of a discrepancy that really is, and how ironic it is that it's both Drake and Kendrick having that small of a discrepancy. Drake sold 90,000 copies, Kendrick sold 90.5 thousand copies. And I mean, again, what's so funny about all this is that GNX came out over 3 months ago, while Some Sexy Sleepy Songs is only 3 weeks old. Kendrick is doing this with an album that's been out almost 4 times as long as this Drake album. 4 times as long as this Drake album has. And next week, again, Kendrick is looking to beat Drake out. GNX will sell 84.3 thousand copies next week, and Sexy Sleepy Songs will sell 78.8 thousand copies. Just to show you the longevity of Kendrick within this round 2. And I mean, look at this whole decade, bro. In terms of artists who have spent the most weeks at number 1 in this decade, Kendrick has Drake beaten out by a wide margin with 10 weeks at number 1, Drake having only 7. And shout out to Roddy Ricch. I mean, with the box alone, he has 18 weeks at number 1 on Billboard charts. We haven't seen him at number 1 since the first year of the 2020s decade. Kendrick this week is also number 1, not just on the Billboard chart, but also on the songs chart, as Luther is still number 1. GNX is number 1 on the albums chart. Of course, Academics TV had to spread their propaganda. I can't even speak right now. Disregard that, but they tweeted out saying, despite having no airplay and being suppressed by Spotify, Apple, iTunes, and UMG, Drake's Nokia went from number 10 to number 13 back to number 10. This is what an organic hit feels like. And I mean, they hilariously shared the Billboard Hot 100 in trying to defend Drake. Meanwhile, they're just making Kendrick look better, as he has Luther at number 1, Not Like Us at number 3, which they replaced with Bought Like Us, and then number 4 is TV Off. So 3 songs alone in the top 5, and this is weeks now after the Super Bowl. And I think this tweet perfectly sums up what we've been seeing so far in round 2. They said, for the past decade, any opposing criticism of Drake or his music was immediately shut down, and the industry crowned him king, and everyone was glad to kiss the ring. But there was one sleeping giant willing and able to free us from that sleepy matrix. The rule: crush your enemy totally. And this is why I keep bringing up the charts, right? Because it's one thing for Kendrick to crush him in a rap battle. He's been crushed before. We saw that with Pusha T. He bounced back, no problem. How? Because he delivered us hits. After his battle with Pusha T, we had his Scorpion album. We had In My Feelings. We had Non-Stop. You had Sicko Mode. If he didn't have that, everyone would have remembered Drake as the guy who got exposed for having a kid he was hiding from the world. He distracted us by putting up the numbers, but he can't do that this time around because Kendrick has that same commercial appeal and is slowly creeping up to outdo Drake on the charts. Again, he might become the highest selling rapper of this year, which would mark the first time that Drake doesn't hold that position in over 10 years. And how fitting is he to do that the year after this battle took place? And drop a comment if you think we're getting solo albums from both Drake and Kendrick this year, because that's what we'll be touching on next. So Drake spoke to his mouthpiece Big Macademics and told him that his latest album, Some Sexy Sleepy Songs, is the first of 2 very important chapters in Drake's career, possibly the most important chapters of Drake's career in general up to this point.
Drake had told me, he was like, yo, Act, this album, Some Sexy Songs for You, is one of 2 important chapters in my life. And he didn't really elaborate too much, but what he told me was that he feels like the current moment, the current music he's putting out, the current journey he's on is the most important point of his career. And to me, that was very telling because it showed me that the hunger, the resilience was there. It also told me that he was keeping his eye on everything that people were saying about him and also what people have been doubting him for.
And I get why he says that, right? Again, this is round 2. This is Drake's time to show and prove that in the most pivotal moment of his career, where his place in the culture has been put under a magnifying glass and put into question by not just Kendrick, but the public in general. With, as Drake puts it, the whole industry going against him, all his peers, his record label, and then you got this rapper who's not just much more lyrically gifted than Drake, but also has the ability to churn out hits. Maybe not as quickly as Drake, but definitely with the same impact as Drake, as we're seeing on the charts right now. This is Drake's last moment to really show that this battle didn't leave a chink in his armor forever. Like I said before, with Drake, it's about the numbers, right? So the one thing that he's going to have to show and prove is that he hasn't lost the charts. I think this Sexy Sleepy Songs album was to prove to the world that he can still top the charts with an R&B project, and that he still has his, female fan base, his R&B fan base, the people that don't just love him for hip-hop. But this next solo album is going to have to show the world that Drake is still capable of giving us impactful classic moments like A Nothing Was the Same or Take Care. I think he knows that he can't go in the, formulaic direction of a Scorpion, a CLB, a For All the Dogs. He really has to put his all into this next album. Give us some vulnerability. Give us something that shows there's some self-awareness. There's some real effort to innovate. Like, sure, he can keep giving us these, Nokia type songs that might do decently on the charts, but that's not going to leave the real impact that Drake is, hungry for. That's not going to make him the best, because you can see even songs like Luther and TV Off are outdoing Nokia even after being released for over 3 months. He needs something to win back over hip-hop, and that's what I think this next solo album needs to be. I've been saying from the beginning, Drake needs to give us something with no features, with no gimmicks, no cheesy pop hits. We need 40, we need Boy Wonder, we need top-tier classic Drake sounding production, and we need Drake rapping and harmonizing and putting care into the music that we haven't heard from him in damn near over a decade at this point. We need a pound cake, we need a Tuscan Leather. He needs a single like a Headline, something that could stand the test of time. Even if you go back and look at his Australian concert, anytime he performs the new songs, they get way worse of a crowd reaction than any of his old stuff. And with Kendrick really bringing in this competitive edge, this is a pivotal time in Drake's career where he's not just competing with himself. He now has real competition. So Drake did what he does best and went on Instagram with his Twitter fingers and cooked up a caption that is kind of telling in terms of, where his headspace is at and where he's trying to take things with this round 2. And really emphasizing that he's ready for round 2. So he says, I grew up non-confrontational and always treated this game as a sport where my pen won gold. I think here he's trying to, dispel the ghostwriting rumors, saying that, it's been his pen that has gotten him this far. And we know that he wasn't confrontational coming into the game, right? There's clips of him and Joe Budden where Drake says, diss me and you'll never hear a reply for it. Or when Jay-Z rapped to him on his first album saying, Drake, here's how they're going to come at you with silly rap feuds trying to distract you in disguise in the form of a favor. Watch for the traitors. That was really foreshadowing of a lot of what we'd see later on in Drake's career, where, he constantly had these guys trying to attack him and him, to his credit, actually engaging in these beefs. You had Meek Mill coming at him with the ghostwriting rumors, Pusha T fueling those ghostwriting rumors on Kanye West production. And it was both those beefs that turned Drake from this non-confrontational guy to a guy who felt like he had the crown and felt like he had to defend it at every moment. At first, again, like he said, he treated this game like it was a sport where his pen won gold, where he just focused on, trying to get better as a lyricist. But then it became, if you want to win that gold, you got to go toe-to-toe with the giants. You got to go up against the Pusha T's, the Kendrick Lamars. And that's why he says next, but these days the podium has been hard for all of us to ignore. Especially with Kendrick saying, I'm a selfish guy, the crown is heavy. Then he discusses this next chapter, or this round 2, saying, I understand that this next chapter may leave you feeling uneasy, but I hope you see my honesty as clarity, not charity, that answers some questions, especially about the unanswered texts you've been sending me. And, a lot of people have been questioning where Drake is going to go next, right? These quote-unquote unanswered texts people have been sending him, that's possibly, in reference to his greatest critics who have been, again, questioning where Drake is going to take things. And it seems like he's emphasizing it's going to be a chapter of honesty. He's going to open up with this next album, maybe get vulnerable about, his downfall, his pitfalls, at least, where things kind of went wrong. And that's no doubt going to stir up some controversy, but at least he'll be being real. And I think that's what this next round is going to be all about, right? Both of them putting their artistic integrity and their best foot forward to the forefront and seeing who the public ends up championing more. We know Kendrick has this tour coming up. We know he has this movie coming up. There's been tons of hints at a second album from Kendrick on the way. Drake has let it be known many times that there's going to be a new album from him on the way. And this next chapter is going to be which of these guys' work, which of these guys' project resonates more with the people. Drake continuously tries to distract the public every time Kendrick makes a move, right? Kendrick announces he'll be performing at the Super Bowl. Drake quickly then announces he'll be doing this Australia tour, which starts a few days before the Super Bowl. Kendrick then drops GNX. Drake, the same week, drops this bombshell of a lawsuit calling out UMG for their quote-unquote malpractices in promoting Not Like Us. Kendrick does the Grammys and the Super Bowl. Drake, a week after, gives us some sexy, sleepy love songs. It's all been kind of like a one-up attempt. And I have no doubt, as we go forward, Drake will continue to do that. Every move Kendrick makes, Drake is going to try to make a move just as big, if not bigger, and it's going to be a constant battle at who can outmaneuver the other person. That's what this round 2 is going to be all about, and the winner of that will be the one with the torch to carry on this next generation. That's what I think, at least. Maybe I'm being too extreme, but another really interesting thing here is that aside from the caption Drake put up, aside from the, several duck lip selfies, he put up a picture of this pill called Zofran. And again, in the caption, he says, I understand this next chapter may leave you feeling uneasy due to my honesty. And if you do a little more digging, you realize that the pill Zofran is actually a medication that's used to prevent nausea or vomiting that's caused by either chemotherapy, radiation, or surgery. A pill that stops you from feeling uneasy. But we also know that throughout Meet the Grams, throughout Euphoria, throughout Rick Ross's diss track, and throughout Megan Thee Stallion's diss track, they all called out Drake for having surgery on his abs and on his face. This is a pill that stops nausea that's caused by surgeries. We also know that before this beef ever kicked off, right after Drake released For All the Dogs, he said he was going to take a step back from recording music to deal with stomach issues that he had.
I probably won't make music for a little bit. I'm going to be honest. I probably won't make music for a little bit. I'm going to be real with you. I need to focus on my health first and foremost, and I'll talk about that soon enough. Nothing crazy, but just like, I want people to be healthy in life. I've been having the craziest problems for years with my stomach. I have a lot of other things that I would love to focus on. So I'm going to lock the door in the studio for a little bit. I don't even know what a little bit is. Maybe a year or something, or maybe a little longer.
We also know that on the Meet the Grams cover, there were multiple Ozempic prescriptions. Kendrick spoke on Drake taking pills. These pills are possibly in reference to any stomach issues Drake might have, maybe due to surgeries that he had, like Kendrick or Rick Ross were alluding to. And maybe in this next chapter is, when he finally gets honest about what's really going on behind the scenes. We didn't really get much vulnerability from Drake on some Sexy Sleepy songs, but maybe at this point, we'll finally get to understand where it all went wrong for Drake, and maybe that'll be just enough to help him compete in this next chapter, in this round 2. But let me know what you guys think, and I will catch you in the next one.
Celebrate.
Shout out to Blackie Speaks, man. The hidden messages in the Super Bowl performance, man. Hey, man. It's messages and everything, man. Let's get to it.
Now, Kendrick Lamar is currently trending after his Super Bowl performance, and for good reason. Ever since it was announced back in September that Kendrick was going to perform, the hype has been real. And now it finally happened, and people can't stop talking about it. But here's the thing. Most people only saw what was on the surface. What they missed was the deeper message Kendrick was sending. This performance wasn't just about entertainment. It was filled with subliminals, symbolism, and a statement that went way beyond the music. So in this video, we're breaking it all down. What Kendrick was really trying to communicate, and why this might be one of the most important Super Bowl performances we've ever seen. Let's start with some of the basics, what I'd consider the less exciting but still important details. First, we have the A chain, which caught a lot of people's attention. Some fans believe the A could be a subliminal shot at Drake, referencing the A minor line from Not Like Us, or even Drake's real name, Aubrey. While there's definitely a possibility, if you ask me, I think this is more about Kendrick promoting PG Lang. PG Lang, the company Kendrick started in 2020, specializes in music, film, television, and creative production. If you take a look at their merchandise, they frequently use the letter A, making this seem more like a branded promotion rather than a direct shot at Drake. That being said, I wouldn't put it past Kendrick to include this, knowing people would speculate and tie it back to their beef. But overall, I think this was less about the drama and more about using the big stage in America to push his brand forward. And then we have Serena Williams crip walking, which is so petty but undeniably funny. This moment was of course a calculated jab considering Serena's history with Drizzy. Serena Williams and Drake used to date at one point, for anyone who doesn't know. Their connection first gained traction in August 2015 when paparazzi snapped them getting cozy at a Cincinnati restaurant. Before that, Drake had already been spotted courtside at her tennis matches, fueling speculation. However, things between Serena and Drake eventually soured. The exact reason, well, nobody truly knows. But what we do know is that in 2022, Drake took an unexpected shot at Serena's husband, Alexis Ohanian, on his collab album with 21 Savage, Her Loss. He did this on the track Middle of the Ocean, when he said, "Sidebar Serena, your husband a groupie. He claimed we don't got a problem, but no boo, it is like you coming for sushi." That was a blatant sign of disrespect, not just towards Alexis, but indirectly towards Serena as well. And it was clear that she caught shade. Alexis Ohanian later responded on Twitter, brushing off Drake's comments while proudly embracing his role as a quote-unquote groupie for his wife and daughter. Very respectable man. Fast forward to the Super Bowl. And Serena's playful yet symbolic crip walking during Kendrick Lamar's performance almost felt like a subtle but satisfying clapback for the both of them. I think the deeper context definitely made it hilarious in its own right, whether intentional or not, which it probably was. It was another reminder that hip-hop and pop culture history always finds a way to resurface. So Serena, one of Drake's exes, and they obviously had a fallout. What a better way to send a message on the biggest stage than having her dance or crip walk to what is essentially the national hater anthem against Drake. Also, SZA was up on that stage with Kendrick, and for anyone who didn't know, SZA used to actually date Drake back in 2009. So there's that. For the Serena angle, there's also another layer to this moment. Serena did grow up in Compton before moving to Florida at the age of 9. So not only does she share hometown roots with Kendrick Lamar, but the fact that they came together collectively to embrace a song that openly disses Drake, that's a shot 100%. It almost felt like a full circle moment. Kendrick, the hometown hero, using his Super Bowl performance to take aim at an industry rival, and then Serena, who grew up in Compton, casually hitting the crip walk to the same song right there on national television. Aside from that, we have Kendrick conveniently turning into the camera as soon as he said, "Say Drake, I hear you like I'm young. Better not go to Cell Block 1." Now that, I don't think there's anything particularly deep about that, but if you guys seen the look on this guy's face when he says that, I ain't really gonna say anything. Just look at this guy's face, bruh. This face has hate 1,000,000 times written all over it, okay? Now that aside, let's actually go over the real shit now, okay? And this is something you're probably only gonna hear here because nobody breaks this down like me, so how about drop a like on this video for your boy. So most people obviously paid attention to those surface level things like the A-Chain, Serena, and all that. Those things aside, this wasn't just a performance. This so-called performance, okay, this was actually a political statement. The show opened with none other than legendary actor Samuel L. Jackson introducing Kendrick Lamar. But this wasn't just an introduction. Samuel L. Jackson was dressed as Uncle Sam, the well-known symbol which is supposed to represent the U.S. government. So he's a physical embodiment of the government, okay? And that embodies authority, control, which is essentially the same system that Kendrick has been fighting for the entirety of his career, but most importantly of all, life. Kendrick Lamar has spent his entire career being critical of the systems in America that have contributed to so much of the pain Black America has faced. He's never shied away from addressing oppression, economic disparity, and systematic racism in his music. In fact, he dedicated an entire album to these themes in 2015 called To Pimp a Butterfly. One of the most striking examples of this is Wesley's Theory, the very first song on the album where Kendrick raps, "Anything to see, my name is Uncle Sam, I'm your dog, motherfucker, you can't live at the mall, I know you're kind, that's why I'm kind, don't have receipts, oh man, that's fine, pay me later, wear those gators, cliche, then say F your haters." Now this particular song is about the financial traps that have kept Black Americans stuck in a cycle of debt and economic struggle. Kendrick paints a picture of the U.S. government personified as Uncle Sam, luring young Black men into a false sense of financial freedom, encouraging them to overspend, indulge in materialism, and accumulate debt, all while knowing that the system is designed to keep them from ever truly attaining wealth. Simply put, it's a trap. And Kendrick, being as intentional as he is, wasn't just referencing the song for nostalgia. His decision to have Samuel L. Jackson, dressed as Uncle Sam, introduce his Super Bowl performance was a callback to this very idea, reminding us that financial literacy, systematic racism, and the exploitation of Black culture are still very relevant conversations today. Wesley's Theory is a direct reference to actor Wesley Snipes, who famously went to prison for tax evasion. Kendrick used Snipes' situation as a metaphor for how the system sets up Black artists, athletes, and entertainers to fail financially. Wesley Snipes was once one of the biggest actors in Hollywood, but after failing to pay millions in taxes, the American government came down on him.
You gotta keep on pushing,
tax evasion is a crime regardless of who commits it. Kendrick's point is that Black celebrities are often placed in a financial trap, encouraged to spend recklessly.
But you know the truth, nigga, you can't never give up, gang. That shit crazy, man.
Kendrick's message in Wesley's Theory is that the system doesn't just allow Black success, it profits off of Black success while making sure that the wealth never truly stays within the community. The government gives opportunities, loans, and access to luxury, but then punishes those who don't navigate the system correctly. It's a cycle, one that's intentionally designed to keep Black people chasing wealth without ever achieving true financial independence. And when you bring this back to the Super Bowl performance, the symbolism becomes even clearer. Samuel L. Jackson as Uncle Sam wasn't just a random creative choice, it was a statement. Kendrick was showing that the same oppressive forces he's been rapping about for years are still at play, even on one of America's biggest stages while he's on that stage. Essentially, Kendrick is saying the same forces that allowed me to get on the stage, the ones that helped me get to my success and wealth, are the same forces still controlling the game while I'm performing on this stage. It's a paradox. Kendrick is saying that, hey, I know that I'm benefiting from the system, system, but he's also a product of the system's constraints. Alright, we're not playing that entire clip, man, because they're trying to get my motherfucking coins out here, bro, and I'm not gonna let that happen.
I feel you.
You can turn this. My motherfucking coins out here, bro, and I'm not gonna let that happen. And that's why Samuel L. Jackson, representing the U.S. government, injects himself into the performance by saying, too loud, too reckless, too ghetto. This moment isn't just about performance theatrics. It's a direct critique of how black expression is often policed and commodified. It's the system allowing Kendrick to exist, but only under certain conditions. The message is clear. Be successful, but not too successful. Speak out, but not too loud. Stay in line. Play the game and don't disrupt the system that benefits you. Now, the game he's referring to is the entertainment industry itself. The same industry that
destroy the game,
but of course exploits black artists at the same time. It's the idea that as long as you're making money for the system, you're welcome. But the moment you challenge it too much, you become a problem. Kendrick has played this game masterfully throughout his career. He's managed to critique the system while still thriving within it. But at the Super Bowl, one of the biggest stages in America, he's making it clear. I know exactly what this is, and I know exactly how much freedom I actually have. Now, this is where Drake comes into the picture. Drake is a Canadian guy who, unlike Kendrick, has never been positioned as a revolutionary or a disruptor. He plays the game effortlessly, adapting to every trend, every industry shift, and every cultural moment without ever truly challenging the system. The battle between Kendrick and Drake isn't just about music or two rappers going at each other. It represents something bigger. It's yin versus yang. Good versus evil. Authenticity versus industry manipulation. Kendrick is the artist who constantly
I don't know about that. You know, it's all, I feel like it's all just how
Drake, on the other hand, is the artist who thrives within the confines of the system. Drake, for a long time, has represented the industry's favorite artists. Marketable, accessible, and not so
sometimes people get into
Kendrick, on the other hand, represents the people's artists. Critical, disruptive, and unwilling to conform. Their rivalry has been painted as just another rap beef, but on a deeper level, it's a clash of ideologies. That's really what it is. So when Kendrick takes on the biggest stage in American entertainment and turns it into a statement against the system, it's not just about Drake. It's what he symbolizes. It's Kendrick reminding the world that the industry rewards those who play the game and silence those who question it. And by performing Not Like Us, he made sure that message was loud and clear. Now later on, before Kendrick is about to perform Peekaboo, Samuel L. Jackson delivers the line, I see you brought your homeboys with you. The whole culture cheat code, scorekeeper,
trying to free your slaves.
It's a loaded statement. This moment ties directly into the overarching theme of the performance. The battle between playing the game and challenging the system just enough. I see you brought your homeboys with you. On the surface, it acknowledges Kendrick bringing his team, his culture, and most importantly of all, his people to the stage. But coming from Samuel L. Jackson, who's playing Uncle Sam, the symbol of the U.S. government and the industry's power, it carries a condescending tone. It suggests that Kendrick is leaning on the strength of his roots, his community, and black culture to make an impact. It's almost as if Uncle Sam is saying, oh, so you're using your people, your authenticity, your blackness as a way in? And it's funny because blackness is literally the source of everything in the entertainment industry. Music, style, culture. But when it comes to the image that the industry wants to represent, it's often watered down, controlled, or repackaged to be more digestible for mainstream audiences. Hip-hop, R&B, and black culture as a whole have shaped every major movement in music and entertainment. Yet the industry has historically treated black artists as both the foundation and the afterthought. Black artists are expected to innovate, set trends, and define culture. But when they become too outspoken or too disruptive or too unapologetically black, they're met with resistance. And this is that resistance at play. When Samuel L. Jackson as Uncle Sam dismisses Kendrick's authenticity as just a cultural cheat code, it reflects how the industry uses black culture while trying to control who gets to profit from it. So this could be a subtle dig at how the industry exploits black culture, allowing artists to bring their background into the mainstream only when it benefits the system. Also, he's performing Peekaboo, so let's talk about the white outfits, okay? Because those white outfits right there is definitely more than just a fashion choice. If you follow Kendrick's career, you know that he doesn't do anything without intention. In a situation like this, there's a strong argument that this was a direct reference to the KKK and the idea of America. All the dancers dressed in white, moving in unity, while Kendrick performs a song that directly calls out Drake, who's supposed to represent the system. That visual alone is very symbolic. The Ku Klux Klan, also known as the KKK, is known for wearing white robes, representing white supremacy, oppression, and the same systematic racism.
Where they go? They ain't like they just get taken out. They still around, bitch.
Now let's not forget that hip hop has been calling out America from Ice Cube to Tupac, and now
Let me
Kendrick is
count kill
continuing that
G's, but
tradition on
then
one of the
leave the
biggest
other
stages in
motherfuckers,
America. This
you
could
know what I'm
also be
saying?
a reference
The
to Colin
KKK and all that
Kaepernick. The
shit.
NFL has a complicated history with race, from how the Colin Kaepernick situation played out to the way black artists have been selectively allowed to perform on certain stages. And yet Kendrick gets up there and flips the entire thing into a critique of the system itself. It's almost like he's saying, look, I know what country this is, I know how this game is played, and I know exactly where we stand. Now, right before Kendrick is about to perform Not Like Us, Samuel L. Jackson delivers another loaded line.
That's what America wants.
So we're gonna have to cut that short because copyright is beating my fucking ass right now, bruh.
All right, Little Caesar's Crazy Puffs. What America wants.
So we're gonna have to cut that short because copyright is beating my
copyright shit is crazy.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That's what America wants. Nice and calm. You're almost there. Don't miss this. And before he can even finish, Kendrick cuts him off, launching straight into Not Like Us. So this moment wasn't just theatrical. Now, this moment wasn't just theatrical. It was symbolic. It was the system quite literally being interrupted. Samuel L. Jackson, still playing the role of Uncle Sam, the government, the establishment, the industry, was essentially telling Kendrick, this is what we want from you. Something safe, something that doesn't challenge us. You're almost where we want you. Stay in line and don't ruin it. But Kendrick doesn't let him finish. Instead, he shuts him completely down and jumps straight into Not Like Us, arguably the most rebellious moment of the entire show. And that right there, that's the perfect representation of how America has always tried to police black voices. The government has a history of suppressing outspoken black figures, whether through censorship, blackballing, or outright violence. The entertainment industry has a habit of rewarding black artists only when they play by the rules and punish those who challenge the system. The media often tries to dictate how black artists should behave, expecting them to be nice and calm rather than unapologetic and disruptive, because when other groups of people speak up, it's seen as passion, advocacy, standing up for what's right. But when black people speak up, suddenly it's labeled as aggression, a threat, or something that needs to be controlled. But Kendrick isn't here to be controlled. The second Uncle Sam tries to contain him, he breaks free by being his loud, aggressive self and does the very thing they don't want him to do. And then to top it all off, Kendrick ends his Super Bowl performance with the song TV Off, which quite literally means turn the damn TV off.
Turn this TV off, turn this...
I think there are two major layers to why Kendrick chose to end this performance with this song. First of all, it's definitely a universal message to everyone. In a world where people are constantly fed media narratives, propaganda, and distractions, Kendrick is telling the audience to wake up. The Super Bowl is one of the biggest spectacles in America. Corporations spend billions just to have a commercial slot because they know the whole world is watching. The game, the halftime show, the ads, it's all a distraction from real life issues that don't go away once the TV is off. Kendrick ending with TV off could be him saying, enough with the distractions. Think for yourself. And then the other half of the message is a message to Black America. The media has historically controlled the narrative about black people, whether through the news, entertainment, or politics, or the entertainment industry. The way black artists, athletes, and leaders are portrayed is often filtered through a lens of control, only showing what fits the agenda. So when Kendrick closes off his performance with TV Off, it's his way of telling Black America to stop letting the media dictate their reality. Don't let America decide who your heroes are. Don't let the system control the narrative. Kendrick was clearly sending a message with this performance, and I can't believe there are people who thought this was just a regular halftime show, but then again, it makes sense. The masses only see what's on the surface. That's how it's always been. Most people just saw a high energy performance, a few viral moments, and some controversy. But if you've been following Kendrick's career, you already know that this man never does anything without a purpose, and that's why I respect him so much. You can't hear me break all this down and still think it was just about entertainment. Love him or hate him, Kendrick has always been about the message. He's never been the type to chase clout or drop music just for the sake of it. Every time he speaks, he's saying something, and this performance was just another example of that. And this is exactly why I'm so happy he's having this moment, because we finally have an artist on the biggest stage in America who's as authentic as an artist can possibly be. From mixtape Kendrick to Super Bowl Kendrick, I've been following this guy since he first came in the game, sounded like Lil Wayne, back when he was still, Lil K-Dot, rapping over other people's beats and finding his voice. So to see him evolve from that young kid from Compton to a cultural icon who's using the Super Bowl as a statement, that's iconic and legendary. Honestly, it's great. And what makes it even greater is how much he's able to say with so little. And this is what separates Kendrick from everyone else. He doesn't just tell you, he shows you. Samuel L. Jackson as Uncle Sam, the system controlling black artists, the dancers dressed in white, possible reference to America and white supremacy, cutting off Uncle Sam before Not Like Us, define the system in real time, ending with TV off, the final statement, wake up, stop being distracted. Every single moment was intentional. This wasn't just a performance, guys, this was a culture moment right here. But I'm of course just one man with one perspective and one voice, which is why I want to hear what you guys have to say about this entire Super Bowl performance by Kendrick Lamar.
I mean, I feel like,
My name is Black to Speak, so nice to meet you.
They broke numbers. You know what I'm saying? Shit went crazy.
Catch you guys in the comment section below.
Drake was in
I'll catch
Australia.
you guys in the next video. I am out.
When it comes to your shower.
I feel like they just when nigga want to get better and better and better and better, and you feel like, you know, that nigga been killing for that long and shit, you know what I'm saying? The nigga just do his thing. But, you know, I feel like, man, let me see if I'm trying to remember if I edit. Hey, like I said, man, I feel like, man, they had each thing to do. You know what I'm saying? And Kendrick did his thing in America, and Drake went to Australia, bitch. What they talking about? That's crazy, nigga. That nigga went to Australia, bitch. That's wild. I ain't gonna cap, nigga. Nigga went all the way to Australia. That's wild as a bitch, nigga. That nigga want to go play with the kangaroos, nigga. Nigga start boxing the kangaroos and shit. Nigga start hunting big ass, giant ass spiders and shit. Nigga start spiders and shit. Damn, this shit crazy, man. But nigga start hunting spiders. My precious glass. That shit wild, man. But yeah, man. That was a good ass battle, man. I'm gonna see what else they got going, man. You know, because hey, the smoke don't stop. You know, with the subliminals and shit. So you know, they never know what y'all else going on and shit, man. But you know, I'm gonna put my work in. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Stay out there in the streets. I continue to go with that flow, you know what I'm saying? You know, we can't never give up. You know, we living in times, but you know, we gotta stay going hard, don't give up type shit. You know what I'm saying? It's getting better and better and better out here, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, man. Hope y'all enjoyed the video. We out this bitch hood. You know what I'm saying? Big Crip gang shit, man.
Hey, Dad, you know, dog, when we link up, dog, this shit be legendary. You know this instrumental, you the engineer on it, so Kodak everywhere.